Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for your guys' words, prayers, and just for everything in general. Se los agradezco mucho de corazón. Now, to get into the story in hand, today I want to touch a little further on the type of individual that Billy Wino was when he had the pool, right? I had mentioned it before in my story. If those remember, I had actually touched a little bit on this on that other channel, right? But I had to mention that you know I really just by hearsay know about Guate, but Wino and Chirilo, I'm not gonna say it was a pleasure, but personally, on different aspects or scenarios. But nevertheless, I've been asked and I've seen a lot of comments being left, as we all know what we sign up for, right? And like I stayed here over and over again, if you're there, then suit up, boot up, y vámonos, right? But there shouldn't be no reason why, you love your neighborhood, your barrio, for you to guide those that don't really know what's up, right? For example, I've been asked, if you go in there and just mind your business, would everything be cool? And yes, overall, you do your program, and when things are called upon you, you just boogie, right? You do your thing. But, there is individuals that play scenarios out that could lead you into something, right? But you're there and you're obligated to, right? That free will per se that you have on the streets when you're in your barrio to take care of something the way you want to, it's out the window, right? Because they're going to dictate everything that happens. And yes, there's fear, but you know, there's different angles that could get worse inside, right? But anyways, allow me to make sense of the message with this personal story, all right? This happened in 2000, month wise, I don't know exactly. But, at this time, I was there holding the Jardín Fruterco, as many know. And, there was a couple incidents with gabachos, right, with woods. And it was behind them getting drunk and them getting into it with paisanos, camaradas. And, me personally, I was real cool with the individual that was holding their car right there, which I don't know where it's at, so we'll go ahead and just leave his name out, right? But those that know him, right, it's probably the biggest wood on the yard, you know. But nevertheless, we had a good communication because we used to play small ball. It was the way to get at one another, on the court, and in our mind we're playing it off, but it's you know the Hudas, the COs, they know, they find everything out because, like I said before, everyone's telling. You know, sometimes it's even them individuals you're answering up to. But anyways, at this time, it was before the little issue with my cousin Tito from La Habra in Lancaster, right? Wino was coming down towards Lancaster, I believe, and he was just there for 1 week. And again, there was this little incidents happening, but The gabachos were really getting the bad end of the stick, because they would take off and they would actually be the ones who take off. But the 4 block, there was a lot of camaradas there, so, things did not work out. But again, alcohol overrides that, right? And then plus they would get their issue in the hole for para parar pedo, to stop any type of misunderstanding on the yard, you know. But anyways, I don't know if I touched on how that ended up, but that's not the story, right? Today I want to talk about the homie Maldito, right? From from West LA, I believe he was from if there's something like that. It started with a D, right? Do excuse me, but those that know him, the homie on the streets, his enemies, they slid him right in the head with a box cutter. So you know, it was bad, but again, it was neighborhood trip on the streets right before they were banded. But anyways, you know, in one of them little incidents, the homie, he went back to the hole, right? And in that time, this one wino happened to come down and he was there, and at the moment we didn't know what was going on, right? He's sending him a bill out with homeboy Maldito when he got out, and he introduced it, right? So in that appeal was clear as day, right? That Agabacho had burned them back there. Supposedly the dude that had the hole for them back there, right? For the white bros. So, he wanted action, and he wanted to hear it before he took off somewhere, right? Because at that time Sapo was there too from San Pedro, and I'm not sure if Oso was already back there. But anyways, when this happens, is we don't need to run it towards the Pili that has the yard. At the end of the day, it's a Mando thing. You have no say so in it. Basically, the yard has to go up. Period. Because again, we're torpedoed, right? In and out. To be sincere, once you get in it, they don't stay in prison. You know, for those that get lied to on the streets, that you could go in there and do everything right for a Pili and get out and keep doing your thing. That's BS. You gotta get out with a bunch of responsibilities too, right? But anyways, when this happened, of course, got the bloqueros and next unlock, everybody come out suited and booted, and we gotta make this yard dance, right? So it happened to the dot, and in this riot, I'm not sure how many people went to the hole behind it, but there was a lot of camaradas, I'll tell you that. Without having to mention the white bros, right, that had to go back there behind it, that weren't expecting it. So, anyways, as time went by, um, it was under Billy getting burned, right? Wino. Those that know Wino, he wasn't just power hungry, he's a big tecato, right? Just to call him that out of respect, right? I wanna. But anyways, the woods got at Sapo, and they were going through the camarada that was back there putting his mascara for everything, right? And basically, that's not how things happen. it was the gabacho was supposed to hit, and he was gonna kick Wino down out of heart, out of respect. But that's not what the Mapil said. The Mapil said exactly the opposite, which was Wino personally stated that he had given this gabacho a paper and he had burned him for it. He wasn't paying for it, so we had to rock the yard. And he wanted a party, and he wanted to hear the mariachi on the yard, right? Las trompetas con tambores en la línea before it took off. When this came to light, of course, he was there maybe a day or two, and they got filtered back to the yard, right? To a camarada that got kicked out behind that riot, and I addressed it right towards T from Bassett, excuse me, and T said he would take care of it, right? And he was going to touch base with Sapu. And as you guys know, Wino denied everything. But see, that white boy wasn't dumb. He had the mobiles, which that was bad, right? That was grounds enough to for the riot. To be sincere, for those who don't know, you're holding on to somebody in that caliber's kite and pass them around is a no. You see it now a lot, right? Which is screenshots and this and that, or fulanito y sutanito said. But in the days I was there, that I had Jardines, that was a no. You to read, answer behind the kite, send it back out of respect for them to flush, or flush on the spot. But I do understand, Wino was known for all this as Cirillo, and again, I couldn't speak on Wino, right? I mean on Cuate, excuse me. But nevertheless, nothing happened. You see, the answer to this was Sapo saying spear Dagabachos any chance you get in the hole for speaking ill about a carnal. And again, camaradas, they don't ask if you're a lifer, if you have a date. They're giving you orders, which you're there, you have to apply to them, right? To the thought. Or, you're going to try to take your win. Well, at this time, it wasn't like what you see now. I do understand that they're out and they have a stick, right? They send you on a mission. Basically, if you don't take someone's win, they're going to take yours. Back then, it was just poke holes in them and prove a point, and if you can get away. Now it's till the wheels fall off, right? Stay on him and keep staying on him, which, to be sincere, as I was there as lifer, that's what I personally did, but it's because I didn't feel the repercussions of anything coming my way, right? But if you have a date, of course, it's going to be in your head. You want to go home. Prison ain't fun, not whatsoever. A month, 2 months, and believe me, them days are going to seem long, at least for the first 5 years, right? But anyways, that's not the point. The point is that in this whole thing, Maldito, right? Which was the one that brought the kite, felt obligated, which I understand that, right? So of course, he picked up his thing, went out, and he did what he was supposed to, right? As a campolero, what you're entitled, obligated to do, which was uphold what is told to us to do, right? Again, not even I that had the Jardín had any say so, right? At this time, for those that remember, is when it was obligated of a fierro to be in every cell, or so at least half the camaradas have not all had something, right? But anyways, he went to town on the wood, he had a date. They took him out to Blythe, and they ended up breaking him off, with I believe 15 years and a shoot term. We got him sent out. But here's the thing, and the whole point of the story, right? Maldito had 2 years to the house. But again, he brought that appeal that stated that he was obligated. We were all obligated, period, right? So that, you know, I could speak for myself. When I was on the yard, if you're a lifer, you were gonna handle business. Yes, of course, knuckling somebody with bare hands or whatever. Yeah, you will send camaradas just to have him present, right? Because you knew at the most they were gonna pick up some shoe, get maxed out, whatever. But not push him to pick up time. That's part of being a camarada, right? That's the whole meaning of the word. But anyways, not every llavero thinks of that, right? As you see nowadays, you see some lifers, they don't care. They go out to visit, and they're the ones that risk bringing in Hale, right? And you guys know what comes with La Morenita, right? Or whatever. Atacato's gonna put that in priority over you. I could send a lifer that's bringing in Hale, or keep him on the yard and keep getting high and utilize a camarada. Who cares if he has some short to the house, right? So it's a guessing game. That's what I'm trying to say. In this case, nothing ever came to wino of this, as far as I know, right? Because he ended up pushing through, and as for those that know wino, anywhere he landed, it was something, and at this time, I just by palabra I met or have heard of wino, right? And I learned early on from Raul to keep away from all that we're ahead of. But anyways, is what happened. Yes, I do understand that a lot of older vatos get in and tell you if you go in there and don't raise your hand, you'll be alright. For the most part, it's true. But for you to feel obligated to earn your stripes by going in and getting out and walking around like them vatos that get out and walk with their chests up and are lying to benefit from you. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but for you to go in and do that and get out, you're gonna risk your life, your family, so peace. Because believe me, at least in my case, right, while the dummy was going through stuff, of course, family was aching. Not only me, I put myself in this situation, so sitting down, going through heartaches, that's me, right? But your families do time with you. They're the only ones that are gonna sit by you. Believe that. Remember, when you fall solo. And that basically stands for every angle when it comes to those that you think are gonna stay there. they're the first ones that little by little start fading out, and that's just part of doing time, right? But anyways, this happened for a while, and they didn't stop there because, again, Sapo, he gave them orders and a lot of camaradas, right? I was actually gonna put some names out here, but I don't know where they're at, so there's no reason, But I know at least four that picked up over 10 years behind this misunderstanding till it got squashed. And just for you, for those, right, that have not been there, please answer me this. How you think it got squashed? It took a couple papers in the vein of Sapo to squash it on the yard. I'll be sincere with everybody. Deco was hot. But even though it was his sardine, he couldn't go over the word of Sapo that was there present. It was like telling a nobody like myself, right, an idiot, to trump his brother's palabra. One thing Tenko had, he was never dumb, right? He never put that rope around his neck till recently now. But anyways, I hope it makes sense, right? And it extends a little bit more on my message on how dirty this individuals could be, and it's a myth. If you think camarada is something literal inside, as there is some, but most, and that includes some Sureños, would always consider the jale, the dope, especially if they're dope fiends, over any camarada's well-being. It's rare, believe me, so just don't put yourself in that position. With this said, again, I hope I made sense in the message I'm trying to put out on this one. To answer that question, can you go in there and just don't raise your hand and do your time? Step up when you need to step up. Yes, you can. Or you could, should I say. Because remember, they're out there now. And if one thing was bad, they amplify that by 10 now. Believe me, they ain't gonna choose a camarada over an avenue. So just don't chance it, love your loved ones. I can sincerely say your loved ones will stand by you. So it's always a man. To be a man, you should be the one to step up and be like, I'll make some time for you too, Just think about it again with this. I'm not saying weenie out, go there, this and that. Just do your dues, but there should always be time for different aspects of life, right? Don't allow it to be too late, as you guys are seeing with me. But with this said, stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. Muy buenas noches.